You're good to go?
Yeah.
Excellent. So, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk to Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle C. Baker. And before we get started with my guests, just make sure to like, subscribe, and follow whichever channel you're watching or listening to this, just to make sure that you get the notifications of when the new episodes come in. So today, we're actually on the third month of this podcast. It's relatively new, and I'm really excited about it because our new guest today, I love her approach. We're going to be talking about health and the holistic approach to health. I really love the way that she presents it, and the way she presents the way we should look at health. I think everybody should have a look at it that way. And so without further ado, I will present you with Sheri-Lynn Marshall. She is actually, I'll have her present herself because she's got quite an impressive line of things that she does. So thank you so much, Sheri-Lynn, for coming on today. I'm really excited to have you on.
Oh, no, thank you, Danielle. It's a privilege to be able to do this with you, and it was great to meet you in person. When we were deciding whether we wanted to jump in and get this done. So it's great to be here. Basically, the reason that I'm here is like you mentioned, it's on the health and wellness end of things. It's a career that I got into about 12 years ago, and I kind of fell into it. Basically, if I go back a little bit further than that, I had moved to Ottawa from Northern Ontario. I was from the Sudbury area. To attend university. I did a biology degree at Ottawa U, and shortly after that, I ended up getting into the federal government and worked as a public servant for about 6 years, and then started my family, and then basically decided that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom for as long as possible. And then things happened as the family grew, and I ended up gaining weight just like everybody else does when they have kids. And I had twins as my first pregnancy.
Wow.
Got into some group training, kind of a setting to really help me out, because of course sometimes it's very difficult to get these things done on your own. As hard as you trying to manage the time and juggle everything. And I ended up, with just circumstances that had happened, I ended up working at the place where I was training as a trainer, and then really enjoyed working with people and seeing them progress and seeing them get stronger. And so I wanted to continue on in that field, at least part-time. Well, I was fortunate enough to have a space at home where I could have some clients at home. I had worked at the YMCA for a while, did some boot camp classes at the Rideau Canoe Club. So all kinds of different personal training, group training type things, and also got into expanding that service by making it, by getting my certificate in nutrition coaching as well. Now, all of that stuff, yes, it's part of the job now, but it was always something that was very, that was kind of an interest of mine since I started getting active. I actually started out late in life. I wasn't much of an athlete in high school or anything like that. I unfortunately just some pressure to, not pressure, but I guess an environment that wasn't conducive to me wanting to get into athletics, just because of some feedback from gym teachers and things that, it was different. It was different back then. It was.
Yeah.
You had that sort of quick, fast, athletic type of kid, and then those who were in gym class because they had to be there, kind of thing. And I never disliked it, but it really affected my confidence when I was younger. So that kind of stuck with me for a while, and then thankfully, when I got to university, I got into martial arts, and that really boosted my confidence. And I ended up teaching there too after I had finished my black belt and everything, and just working with women and seeing how empowering it was for them to get into that. I got into that, then I got into running and all kinds of different things. I realize as life goes on that I get bored quickly. So I've dabbled in a lot of different things, the weightlifting and triathlon, everything. So, but the main theme with all of that is really recognizing early on that the nutrition aspect of any kind of performance like that, even just day-to-day life, it can have such a big impact on your energy levels, on your sleep, on your mood, on your performance, on your recovery. And so the more I learned how much of an effect it had on me personally with how I was feeling, the more I realized that that was a missing aspect of my coaching when I was doing my personal training and working with my clients. So so that's how the whole ball of wax kind of came together, and my approach now is, So
it's amazing.
That's how I got to where I am now, and I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon.
That's amazing. Yeah. And it's so funny because you mentioned when we actually got together, it is so strange for me because I got into this business. I started up my business almost 3 years ago, and everything was virtual. So it's funny that we're now physically meeting people, and it changes everything. And I loved how you explained it when we were meeting, because I was actually very athletic when I was younger, and it's when I started university that I stopped all of the activities. Yep. So it was just like all of a sudden I was still eating the same way. I could eat anything when I was training 6-8 hours a day, but then I just kind of blew up, and then you kind of get discouraged. So I like how you approach it, saying it changes. You don't have to always do the same thing. You can change it up. You don't have to follow. If you're in martial arts, you don't have to stick to martial arts. You can do other things. So I like that. And if you could just kind of, you mentioned a little bit that you had to change your aspect of coaching, but how did your understanding of health evolve over the years? Because it's not just training, it's not just nutrition. You really have a global approach to it. So can you kind of tell us a little bit of what your understanding of health is overall?
Yeah, I think that actually stemmed from when I was a kid. Like I was a teenager in the 80s, and if people think back at that, those were the days of the fad diets, and eating fat is bad because it's going to make you fat. There's so much research that has been done since those days, and people really realizing that, it's not just about calories in, calories out. It's not just about moving more. Those are two very important aspects, to be careful on consumption, especially of the bad stuff, and increasing your movement overall. But the reason why that's so, those are only two elements of overall like holistic health, is because the way that you eat and the type of food that you eat, it will affect your sleep. It will affect your stress levels. And then conversely, your stress levels will affect how you eat, because if you're an emotional eater, if you're a stress eater, then so everything kind of comes full circle. When it comes to trying to balance all of the different things that are going on in your life. There's all of this underlying stress that's there that people don't even realize is contributing to the overall stress load that they have. So you may be thinking, oh no, my job is pretty chill, it's not a big deal. But maybe you have children who are in competitive sports, and there's a lot of pressure there to make sure that, they're doing okay, they have everything they need. And then with all of that, making sure that you're not forgetting your own needs, and so it's really a global approach to just looking after yourself, So sleep is huge for all kinds of different reasons. Making sure you are getting some movement, of course, making sure that, you're doing your best to fuel your body with nutritious food. Food is fuel, yes, when you're performing, but it's also medicine for a lot of people. And I think the way that I see it now is, when I was watching my mom and my aunts and whoever, it was always diet, try to conform to this specific body type that society felt was, this is what it looks like to be fit. Whereas when I was growing up, we were seeing that like in our households, but then we also had the TV and everything that was showing us that thin is the healthy. And thin might have been the attractive, but thin wasn't necessarily the healthy. No. And you don't realize that until you get older. And thankfully, the world has changed a lot as far as acceptance and the perception of what healthy, fit, happy, strong means, not only for women, but for people in general. And I'm so happy that happened, because now people are really realizing, genetics plays a part in the way that we are. Yes, we can be more predisposed to being a little bit heavier. that doesn't necessarily mean that if you're not happy in that body, it doesn't mean that you're doomed to be like that. Same with disease, right? People think that, okay, well, if my parents are diabetic, then that means I'm just going to be diabetic and I'm just going to gain weight, and that's just the cards I was dealt. But that's not necessarily the case.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe that the actions that you take can help reverse things or minimize your symptoms and the negative conditions that you're living with, whether it be arthritis, whether it be just general inflammation, it's possible. It's possible to really try to take charge of those things, and it's just a matter of figuring yourself out and realizing that it's not just about what you're eating, and it's not just about the fact, like if you feel like your joints hurt so you can't exercise, well, maybe there's other aspects of the big picture that you can address first.
Yeah. You've made some really good points there, because I know I work a lot with parents, and we'll tend to put our children first, and we kind of neglect ourselves. So that being sure that you keep track of how you're feeling and what health means to you, not what it looks like on the outside or on a social media, but what it is, what it represents for you. And that will change from one day to another. You kind of have to be flexible with it. And that's what I like about it. When we were talking about that's a question I always ask, what does that look like? If you want to build good habits, what's a program, a good workout, and you were just saying it depends. You got to go within first and see, okay, how am I feeling today? Am I up to this? So what this kind of leads up to my next question is, what are some of the best habits people should work on to be able to get the results that they're looking for?
I think that, like you said, it really does vary depending on your situation. The ones that I encourage people to work on are the ones that are going to align most directly with whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. So if they've set goals for themselves, because we have to realize that not everybody is even there yet as far as knowing what they want to do. Maybe they know that they want to make a change, but they don't even know how to put that into words. They just say, I'm unwell, I don't like feeling sick all the time, and I need to do something. And that's all they know. They've only gotten to that stage of behavior change. And that's a great start. Like, at least you know that you're not happy with what you are and how you feel, and you want to do something about it. So for some people, that's what it is. It's that you tackle you focus on the habits that are going to make the biggest impact, so that you can achieve your goal as quickly as possible, if that's what you want to do. For other people, that's too overwhelming. And so for example, if it's someone who has some kind of chronic illness, and we know that there's a lot of inflammation in their body, and we say, you realize that, anything made with white flour, highly processed foods, sugar, that's not natural. That's the stuff that's not good for you. But there's another reason that they're eating that, and you can't just cut everything out, because it's doomed to failure, and they probably won't ever want to work with you again either, because the rule's way too strict, from day one. So I think, for people like that, we introduce habits that are very, very small, but it's something but you only concentrate on one thing at a time, and you try to make it become something that they can do on a daily basis. It almost seems too easy. Like, for some people, I might say, if let's say that I'm working with their children, and they're like, my kids hate vegetables. Sick all the time, they're really pale, they have no energy, they hate fruits and vegetables. Like, okay, well, can we make a deal that they'll just have one? And if you give them that one, and if they want to have the cookie after, cool. But if you have one apple slice, even, that's better than 0 apple slices. For some people, that you have to dial it back all the way to something that they know they can achieve, and they'll say, oh, that's easy. I can do that. Okay, cool. Then prove it to me. How can you do it? And then what ends up happening is those very small things that you do once at a time will end up becoming automatic, will end up becoming part of the routine. And then when the person is ready, then we add in another element. So for some people it's food related, for some people it's physical fitness. Some people hate exercising, and the only reason that they do it is because they know that it's good for them, or they feel like they're either they're sore, or they've gained weight, or the doctor told them that they have to, whatever it is. And for people like that, maybe you do have to work with a trainer. Maybe you do, or you join a group fitness so that people will notice if you're not there. There's all kinds of different strategies to make things work if you really want it to work. And the thing with habits too is that if you think about it kind of as developing a new skill, that's how I like to think of it. So when you want to get better at hitting a baseball, when you want to get better at downhill skiing, or playing a musical instrument, or even cooking, if you want to get better at making sushi by yourself, like from scratch, how do you get better at doing something? You practice, right? It's like everything else, like get the reps in, make sure they're quality reps, and you're eventually you're going to get better. And it's the same thing with habits. It's not something that is natural for people to be doing something that is consistent as part of their daily routine. Some people don't even have routines, right? They're all over the place. And so maybe that's the first thing, is just to try to establish some sort of consistency. If you know that every day at 6 o'clock in the morning, you're able to do a little bit of stretching before you have your shower. Cool. That. But for other people, no, I'm getting my kids ready for school at that time. Okay, then maybe the end of the day is better for you. That's why I'm saying it's variable, it's flexible. The main thing is, and you hear it all across the board anytime you read into this stuff, is establishing some sort of consistency and something that you can feel that you can achieve and just keep it going. That's the best way. That's the best way to kind of bring yourself to success, right?
That's what I like. It's one bite at a time, 5 minutes, like one set at a time. And that's what I like, that message where people expect this cookie cutter formula to health. And it doesn't work that way. Even for yourself, once you found your routine, when you found what works for you, sometimes it may change from a year, from within a few months, something could happen, and you need to be able to be flexible. And that's what's nice about your program, is you kind of keep it, even your circuits. I saw that because I follow you on Facebook, and you just show pictures of the obstacle course. I call it the obstacle course, but the circuit, but you don't say what you're going to do. So it's just, you're just like, oh, okay. So I wonder, you start thinking, I wonder what she would do with that. I wonder what she would do. And then you start coming up with new ways of exercising. I think it's great. Can you share with us the transformation that you see with your clients, the people that you work with?
Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff. Sorry, I took a little bit of notes here so that I would, but no, there's so many different types, right? Because again, with this whole health type of thing, but also because I work either with one person, a couple of people, or small groups who know each other well. Even when I was at the canoe club, actually, there were, a good dozen people in the class, but it's still small enough that you develop relationships with people, and you can really see the progress that they're making and notice if they're struggling. And I don't know if it's just because I've been doing this for so long, but I feel like I'm really in tune with that, and I can tell, and I'm not afraid to go ask and see, like, hey, what's going on? Like, did you not sleep well? Is something, and then sometimes maybe it's a death in the family that I'm not aware of. Maybe it's somebody, their father all of a sudden got a cancer diagnosis. Like I've had everything, right? And the transformations that I see in people, it's incredible. Like, so for those who are really focused on their main goal of losing weight, I work with them a lot more. Like I'm in their life a little bit more, I guess, more involved with their nutrition end of things. So I've had people lose, 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds even over the span of a year. I'm not the, lose 20 pounds in 20 days kind of person. Yeah. That's just not my style. I don't think it's sustainable or realistic or safe. I think when you can integrate all of the nutrition stuff and the exercise into your routine and make it into basically the transformation into a new lifestyle, that's what it ends up becoming. We've had some physical transformations, and some people it's weight loss, some people it's strength gains. And, I work with a lot of women, so it's always so great to see the confidence boost that they get from feeling stronger, It's just very empowering for people. And then I've worked with children too, and I've worked with young athletes who are desperately trying to gain weight, gain muscle mass, and trying to understand, just how much, or trying to accept that they have to eat a heck of a lot more than they already are, because their metabolism is so fast and they're burning so many calories with all of the training that they're doing. And, trying to get them to do so in choosing healthy calories, really calorie dense foods, nutrient dense foods, not just calorie dense foods. A lot of emotional transformation I see as well. For some people, it's they came in maybe because they were suffering from depression, and they knew just in either from their doctors or from their own research that if they start moving more, and if they eat certain foods and avoid certain foods, that can help them feel better. And maybe the weight loss wasn't a lot, maybe they didn't have a lot to lose, but the fact that they feel so much better, that the activity really releases all those endorphins, and they just feel that happy glow, just by going for a walk, just by being in fresh air, going out in nature. So it doesn't have to be, a very big physical transformation, but, a lot of times the transformation happens on the inside with those who have, again, a lot of inflammation, any kind of gut issues, that changing the diet to something that's a lot more like whole foods. If once you're healed on the inside, everything else just gets so much better, because it's such a connection with your brain and with your hormones and your mood and everything. So, again, so the big things really, it's the confidence. Sometimes it's the confidence of people get because they feel like they're at an ideal weight. So maybe sometimes it is weight related. For others, it's the strength to be able to do 10 push-ups. Oh my God, like I never be able to do one before, stuff like that. And it's, and so I really love that people are starting to take their health a lot more seriously, because those types of transformations, it's just going to make their life that much better, because again, when you feel good about yourself, you perform better, you have that lust for life, right? And you want to get out and maybe try things that you've never done before. So so I've seen all kinds of things, but it's all positive. I don't think I've had anybody leave and regret having come to train. Like if anybody has, there's been different reasons, but it's I don't know,
it's amazing.
Maybe I just pick people who like really, they've got that same attitude where they just want to help themselves, and I just try to walk alongside them. I don't tell them what to do, and mutual respect really is the big thing, right?
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. And you said something really, when you were saying people taking health a lot more seriously, I think they're also taking making the changes for the right reasons. Before, it was like you said, back in the 80s or even 90s, and still now, but more and more now people are thinking, okay, I need to be healthier because I don't want to struggle later on in the years. They're actually doing it for the right reason. And I think that motivates them. I also like how, because you're talking about different transformation, everybody's transformation is different. And you had mentioned that you're not the one who will post the before and after pictures, because you always say, or you said that I'm not the one doing the work. Those are their results. They're not, they worked with me, but at the end of the day, it was their choice to get up in the morning and make the right choices and to listen to me. I love that you're not throwing it out there saying, again, that cookie cutter, these are the results, because everybody's results are different. So you really are catering personally to the people you work with. And that changes everything to somebody that's doing the work. I did have a question. Because when we talk, and for those who are watching the video on YouTube is the only one where we have the videos, you'll see Sheri-Lynn's face just lights up when she starts talking about what the work that she does with her clients. What brings your joy in the work that you do?
I think their successes, just like you said. And I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but seeing someone struggle and not really have that much confidence in themselves, whether it be physical strength or in trying to follow through with a plan. Because I have a lot that would come more on the nutrition end of things that would say, I've tried every diet, nothing works. I was good for a while, I lost 20 pounds, and then something happened. Oh, this is the expression that I wanted to point out. Life happened. Okay. I dislike this expression a lot because life is always going to happen as long as you're alive. There's always going to be something going on, whether it be good things, bad things, busy things. Maybe you've got a trip coming up and you thought that you were going to get your workouts in. You thought you were going to, be able to be really careful, dial in your diet, maybe not drink for a little while so that you can, feel better in your bathing suit to go on the beach. And
right.
Maybe something happened with work. You changed jobs and all of a sudden no more time to work out, or not as much as you hoped. And then stress eating again, like you knew you shouldn't, but you did anyway. And then, people getting down on themselves for stuff like that. Other reasons like a move, moving home.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe the life stage that you're in, when your children are preschoolers, and if you're still working full time, you've got all of that stuff going on. When they're older, there's going to be other things going on. Even yourself, like I know even me at my age, like I try my best to take care of myself as many of us do in this profession, but the body starts to age after a while. And so the type of exercise that you need to do, and more stretching, more range of motion work, and just maybe a little bit more time to recover, it's just something that we need to focus on a lot more. And sorry, I totally got off topic there, didn't I?
Well, no, you kind of answered this all through that. You're kind of answering it. That's what brings you joy, is just seeing that transformation, seeing the result.
Exactly. Well, it's and especially the physical strength stuff, when it's like, women who come in and again, not even being able to do one push-up. And I just love that, I've been, again, because I've been doing this a lot, there's a lot of different ways that you can build strength in a way that will make people feel like they're getting there. To have a way to measure the progress is huge. And I think people really it because all of those small wins really lead you that much closer to whatever it is that you set as your ultimate goal, right? So I think just seeing that happen and seeing their light shine when they're like, oh my God, I did it, or oh my God, I held my plank for a whole minute, and and it's just, and again, I just turn it around and I bring it back to them. So that's because you put in the work and you showed up. I'm just here to encourage you to come back and make it fun so that you don't get bored and you want to be here. Like I've got a group coming in at 4:30 this afternoon. It's going to be dark. It's going to be cold, but they want to stay outside because they're all downhill skiers. They're like, this is nothing, no problem. So I'm the one who's going to have to bundle up and I'm the one who's going to get cold. But it makes me so happy to have these people in here. They're all friends. They all push each other, and they just have so much fun. And they know that they're getting stronger. They can feel it, and then I feel like I'm doing my job, right? So
that is awesome. And it makes a world of difference.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you mentioned life happens. That's one thing that I used as an excuse often when I was younger. And life will always happen as long as you're living it. How do you yourself find that balance between family, between work, other people's schedule, everything else that life is throwing at you? What is the kind of thing that works? I know everybody's different, but what works for you?
So I'm really lucky that this is right now, this is part-time. I'm hoping that eventually it will be full-time, but because there is more time in our family life now that I can really start kind of broadening my horizons, I guess, in this field. But right now it's a work in progress. I would never say that I've got it all figured out as far as trying to balance everything out. I think a quality that I have, and I know that this isn't something that everybody has, is being very flexible, being able to go with the flow. If something does come up, then I can pivot pretty quickly. And again, I don't take that for granted, because there's a lot of people that would be an extreme source of anxiety for them. They might end up feeling that that's an excuse to, or a reason, whatever word you want to use, right? Depending on your perception. They might feel like, okay, this came up, my car broke down, or my child ended up sick, so I had to stay home from work. So, for some people are going to say, well, okay, plan B, I'm just going to do a workout at home instead of going to see Sheri. And so trying to find ways to kind of navigate around it. And make it work whenever you can, as far as your plan is, whatever your intentions were for that day, right? If you had planned to do a workout, a run, go for a walk, get some batch cooking done on the weekend, that kind of thing. There's always going to be another time when you can get that done. So that's the big thing is, the more you can just accept that, yeah, life's going to happen, and it's okay if it doesn't work out exactly as you wanted it to. If you've found another way to check off that box, if you've got that to-do list that you really want to try as hard as possible to stick to, I would still consider that a win. I think people are too hard on themselves, and yes, structure is important, and it's very good with kids, as you know. So if that's what you need to concentrate on, and just making sure that their routine, their structure stays the way it needs to be, that's going to reduce the stress on you. Even if your day got screwed up, at least that part of it didn't get affected. They didn't get affected. They didn't feel like extra stress, or that they were in your way, or that they caused you to, not be able to do what you wanted to do. So as I said, I've got 3 kids, so I know the mom factor as well, or the mom and dad factor. Just as far as, making sure that we're satisfying their needs first and then taking care of ourselves. But the thing, like a lot of us know, is the more we take care of ourselves, the better we are for everyone around us, right?
Yeah.
It's the self-care side of the whole health thing it's huge. It doesn't have to be a lot, and it doesn't have to be a long time, but just enough so that everybody's got that daily recharge. And you'll see, like, everyone around you they can tell when you're, when you just need to go take a breath or go for a walk, whatever it is. And they need it too. See, that's another thing, right? It's just to realize that if you're in a family, or, if you're even just, no matter how many people are in your house, there's, if you're sharing with at least one other person, we need to kind of respect that we're not always all going to have a good day on the same day. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's, So really the thing as a parent, or as an adult in anybody's life, even if you don't have kids, the more attention we give to ourselves on that side of things, on the self-care, whatever that is for you, the younger people around you are going to see that, and they're leading by example without even wanting to do it on purpose, without being intentional about it. But if I'm down here doing my workout, and then one of the kids comes down, they'll be like, oh, maybe I'll use the gym later, But if I was just sitting around or doing something else, maybe that wouldn't have even came in their mind, and like, oh, maybe I'll just go punch the bag for a little bit, So it's not to put any pressure on people to feel like they have to do that. But I think it's a gift that you're giving to the other generation and your friends and everybody around you who maybe they haven't put all their pieces together yet, But
that's a good point, because I noticed that as well when I started saying, okay, I need to take time for myself, is you're actually teaching your children or everybody else that's watching you, because it's not even just the younger ones, but the older ones. Like, I've had aging parents are like, oh yeah, maybe I should take a little bit more time to stretch. You're actually showing them how to keep that balance in their lives, but you're showing it by example instead of just telling them what to do. They see the results in you and they want the same. So that's amazing. What kind of advice, I always like to ask my guests this question, is if there was something that you wish you knew younger to make your life a little easier, what kind of wisdom or advice would you like to share with people?
Yeah, I thought about this one a lot, and wisdom attached to me sounds like a funny thing. but if
we are all wise.
If I had to pretend, exactly. So just as far as lessons learned, I guess. I think that, and again, this goes back to what I was saying when I was a teenager, and just not confident not in my abilities, but just in how I felt like I was a little bit overweight, and maybe not the most athletic, because I never got a chance to really explore that at the time. So there was always a little bit of a confidence issue there. And I think that made it that I was afraid to try things. I was afraid to try new things. I would have to get really encouraged by other people. Like, even by the time I got to university and thinking, or even when I started running, to, oh my God, like, as if I would even think that I could run a marathon, and all kinds of things like this. I think that if we approach life with fear, it's always going to be a barrier to us kind of reaching our comfort zone. and it's fun, it's comfortable to be in our comfort
It's
zone,
comfortable.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Some people might think, well, why would I want to go out and do something that's different if I'm perfectly fine where I am? But you need, I don't know. I'm not going to tell people what to do, of course, but I find that, in order to grow and in order to make the most of life, you only get one life, right? Like that's just
it.
Across the board. We can't do anything about that. So, why not? So again, if you kind of explore that possibility of trying new things, just be curious and see, well, I wonder what would happen if, I tried to run an extra kilometer. I wonder what would happen if I went out in the morning instead of at night. I wonder how I would do. Like I have a daughter who does horseback riding. I wonder what would happen if I tried going on there. Like, would I like it? Would I not? But I'll never know unless I try, right? And
exactly.
I tell that to kids all the time. So yeah, and I think that it expands not only your realm of things that you can do, and that eventually, hopefully, you'll get comfortable doing. But it just opens up so many opportunities for new relationships, new friends, new social construct and stuff, and that just enriches your life even more, right? And I think that anytime you try something new, whether it works out to be something that you want to keep doing or not, again, I think that jacks up your confidence a little bit, because at least you can say, hey, I tried that. I've tried rock climbing, but then I realized I was scared of heights. So no, but you would have never known unless you tried, right?
You would have never known that. Yeah.
So I think that's the big thing, is just, try to remember that, fear is, it's not real. So, if you can just, and again, some people have to start really small and just try, maybe I'll go, like, for example, training outside. Some people are so self-conscious about being seen exercising that they would never do a workout in my backyard because I have neighbors who have windows. But then you've got others who they forget that, we've got hedges and fences around us. But it feels like a safe space. And it feels so good to them that, everybody can just be who they want to be. They can be silly, they can be crazy, whatever it is. And to me, that just shows, happiness and confidence, and just when they leave, everybody's smiling. So
that's it.
And if they wouldn't have been brave enough to try to come and check it out, and I never mentioned this, but the reason that I started these classes outside in my backyard is this was pandemic stuff. So in that first summer of the pandemic, people couldn't go to gyms. They wanted to exercise. They wanted to reconnect with their friends. So I said, hey, let's try this. And now look at us. We're almost in winter and they still want to be out there. So
they still want to be out there. And it just goes to show you that comfort zone is a beast, because when you don't step out of it, you become complacent. There's a lot of people that fear. They say, we can't go to the gyms anymore, so I guess we're just not going to work out. But no, you try something different and you end up liking it. So there's one thing in therapy we were taught when I was training to be a therapist, it was just the brain itself doesn't know the difference between excited and afraid. It's the same chemically in your body. It's the same. So you will have the same scream if you won the lottery that you would if you fell off a balcony. It's the same scream. So when you're afraid, just pretend that you're winning the lottery instead of, rock climbing, and your brain will do the same. When you go on a roller coaster rides and you're screaming, you actually don't know if you're enjoying it or scared out of, scared out of your mind. Your body can't tell. So just trick it into loving it, and it just changes everything. Just to wrap it up a little bit, because I could talk to you all day. But do you have any new projects? You said you're doing this part-time right now, but anything new coming up or anything that you're working on right now?
Well, the big thing right now is that, since I've started this and kind of came back into just doing my own training at home, whether it be in the backyard or in the house, I'm starting to look out to other gyms, other fitness facilities, to try and maybe even community centers to do some group training and that kind of thing. It's very beginning, early stages. I'm working with one person right now in a friend's gym, and that's just, it's nice to be getting out there, because I find that my kids are old enough now that they're becoming a lot more independent and self-sufficient, especially in the morning hours and stuff. I want to try to open up a lot more online coaching type of stuff, because I have a lot of family and friends who are not in Ottawa. And I think that, a lot of the services that I provide can be done just through Zoom or just through, online coaching especially with nutrition. And really, I think that's really
that's a lot.
My website it's fine, but there's a lot more potential there. So just trying to throw that out there, and and just keeping myself active and in shape, and keeping up with the pace of life. Yeah,
that's amazing. Before we wrap up again, I always love to ask that question to people I interview. So a child had asked me for an interview for a project at school, and I told her I would ask everybody I interview. So the infamous question is, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever grow up, to tell you the truth. Right? I don't feel like grown up yet, so I'm not sure when that's supposed to kick in. But really, like I have thought about this one, and I think just continuing to be like a good influence on people without doing it on purpose. Just continuing to be the person that people feel they can come to, that they can trust, that they can be comfortable with, and know that the advice that they get is going to be real. And and hopefully someday, if I'm lucky enough that my kids have kids, maybe I'll be that grandparent or that great aunt or whatever that people will come to and say, you know what, you'll know the answer to this question, and that kind of thing, and just see, if they can see you as invincible, then that's how you're going to feel, right? So
exactly. And I love that. No, but that's great, because we should never feel like we've grown, like we should always have that kid at heart. You made me laugh earlier when you said, I don't know if I can qualify to give out wisdom, because I feel the same way. I'm just a child trapped in an old woman's body. And really, for the longest time, the only reason why I think people would consider what I say is wisdom is because I have a lot of gray hair. That's about it, But sometimes that's what you need, is just that young energy, no matter how old you are, and you keep growing. That's why I love asking that question, is because it gets us to keep looking at life as a new adventure, even though we think that we know it all. So we still have a lot to learn. So it's amazing. So how can people follow you or reach you if ever they do want to, go a little deeper into their health quest and want to see what it is that you can give to them? Well, how can they reach you or follow you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, just Sheri-Lynn Marshall, and then I'm on Instagram as well. It's at S Marshall Fitness, and I think on the Facebook, at least, the contact information is all open, so the email and the telephone number should be there. And then again, somewhere in there, I think it might be in the bio line of the Instagram, at least, there's the link for the website is there. But I'll probably reposting that again shortly after this airs, so that people will have the information a little
Excellent.
bit ready.
And I can add it to the description. I can add it as well for the description and in the comments as well, so they'll know how to reach you. But I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, I could talk to you all day. You have such a great energy, and for anybody listening or watching, this is that whole. There's no cookie cutter way of getting to where you want to be with your health. And this is what Sheri-Lynn brings to the table, is just that, okay, let's see what we can do for you. What is that? What is possible? What is feasible for you? What's realistic? And let's work with that. So thank you again so much for joining me. It was a great time.
I enjoyed it too, of course. Thank you for the opportunity. It was awesome.
That was great. And for anybody watching or listening, again, make sure to hit that subscribe, follow, or like button to any channel, and look at the descriptions of those comments. I will have Sheri-Lynn's information on there, so you can contact her. So again, thank you so much for joining in, and for everybody listening or watching, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.